renders. It usually takes a few hours, and we will make that available to you. So first things first, my name is Cecilia Henley. I am your product manager for the Drupal platform. My pronouns are she, her. My skin is dark, and I am wearing a blue shirt, and I have glasses. My accessibility needs have been satisfied. If you are in need of additional accessibility, you could click on the ellipses menu on the top of your display, and you should be able to find the transcription for this recording. Again, feel free to engage as much as needed. These are intended to be a workshop, not so much me talking at you guys. You guys are sophisticated users. And you will see that additional Tyler technology staff will join us in the presentation today. So with your permission, I'm just going to go ahead and get us started. I apologize for my voice. I have been sick for a number of days, and if my voice goes, I apologize for how rude the coughing is, but bear with me. So again, I'm Cecilia Hemley. I am your product manager for all things Drupal. We do have a few resources we want for you to be mindful that are there for you. We have a website, which is your training website, cms.colorado.gov. And that is where you will find recordings for all of the sessions that we have offered since October to the present time. In addition to this, the recording will be made available on that website. And again, we want this to be a collaborative space, so make sure that you make space, but also take space. And if you're a person who likes to comment a lot, please leverage the chat. As other Tyler Technology team members get onto the call, they will assist me with monitoring the chat. If not, if it's just us, I'll just go ahead and make sure that I see Barry is in here, so I'll just make sure to call on people to engage with questions. So here we go. These are the items that we would like to cover today. Again, this is intended to be a workshop. I know that different users are at different levels, and some of you are very sophisticated users that don't need me at all. So again, if there is anything that you need, please raise your hand, but these are the things that we hope to do today. So with your permission, I'm going to tab over to our training site, cms.colorado.gov. And I'm going to take a moment to admit the rest of the participants that are waiting for us. Okay, I think I have admitted everyone. Alrighty. So the first thing that I wanted to share is how to access the website. When you are working on multiple websites, you will need to access each one of your websites one by one. We're no longer in an organic groups pool. We are now a multi-site environment. What that means is that for you to access the websites that are assigned to you, you will need to navigate to this page. This page is your login page. And there are two different opportunities that you have. You're welcome to leverage your single sign-on because I know that the government entities are a Google enterprise, so you can leverage your single sign-on. The other alternative is for you to go ahead and leverage a user password combination for the demo today. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to click, tap, or select on this login, and it will carry me to what y'all refer to as the backend. Okay, now from the backend, you have a few options that are available to you, and that is to edit your account and leverage all of these. Here you will see that I have a connected account because I leverage both. So this is my Google single sign-on right here. Now, the people module is the least frequented, depending on how dynamic your team is, but this is where you will execute those edits on your account. Now, there's two visual indicators that will tell you that you are logged in. At the moment, if you notice, there is a black and a silver combination of menus. These are your main navigation assets, and these are visual indicators that you are authenticated. The other thing that you will notice is that in the bottom, you have these ribbons across the top of your content pieces that will indicate that you are able to edit content, you are logged in. Now, when you are in this menu, the default will be the one with your login. From here, you can log out, you can edit your profile, or you can view your profile. Shortcuts is not present to other user accounts. I happen to be administrator for all websites as a product manager. So if you do not have the shortcut present, that is totally fine. It is not expected for you to have it at the moment. What is critical is to have this manage menu because this is the toggle for all of the modules that are present. Now, again, I am the admin for this website, so I have a significant amount of options that are not present on your site. So just make sure that you see that I am logged in as myself, an administrator, and my drop downs and flyouts in some instances are going to look different than yours. So again, this is a visual indicator that I am logged in. Pardon me. And I could toggle the menus away if I wanted to have greater real estate on my display. I happen to be using an extremely large monitor for training, but if I had a laptop and I wanted just to have some more space, I could toggle this. Another thing that somebody was surprised is the orientation of my main administrative menu. If I click here, it will toggle it to the side. So depending on your display, you could just have it toggle horizontally or vertically. Excuse me. So from the agenda that we had, some of the things that we want to cover today is to verify how that authenticated user display is looking. And I think we just covered that. If you have any questions, please let me just check the chat real quick. If you have any questions, stop me. I don't have any questions thus far. Okay. The next thing that we want to do is to visit the media library, which is in the content module, so that we could create a basic page. So I'm going to navigate back to our training website. And again, I am in cms.colorado.gov. And you can see that my user 221, is the one that is executing these changes. And that is just the numerical assignation to my account. It's 221. It will be different for each user based on your database and how many have been assigned prior or after you. So it is just a numerical value to match who I am on this database. Now, if you click on the logo, this will take you to the home page. Additionally, we have breadcrumbs. This first breadcrumb will take you back to your home page. And on this particular homepage, you will notice that we have the rows and cards, we have a jumbotron, we have icon cards. We haven't done a walkthrough in a long time during these sessions. But if you guys are new to Drupal and you would like for me to walk you through the different components of Drupal, I am more than happy to do that for you. Just put that in the chat and I will find an opportunity to circle back. But just wanted to go back to the homepage so that you could realize, and I'm sorry, visualize that we do have that main navigation at the top. And then right here, I have an editing ribbon. That is just the two visual indicators that will tell me that I am logged in. Okay. Now, in order for me to create a piece of content onto the website, I need to navigate to the content module. So if you're following along on your particular websites, I would like for you to tap or select the content module. And once you are in the content module, you will be presented with what is called the media library. Now, the media library by default has this content tab. However, it is comprised by all of these different modules or sub-modules. When you want to make a website, you will create different types of content like basic pages, events, articles. However, for you to personalize those pages, you would like to add your documents and your files. So before we get to work, my recommendation, and this is something that for the 4.5 years that I've been here, I always advise, is that if you have a pool of images, a cache of different accessible PDF documents that you're going to add to the website, that you add those pieces first to the website. So then when you are moving the copy, it would just expedite your process. And in order to do so, you will need to go to the media tab of the media library. Okay. The content is what is native to the site. All of the different content types that I could generate on this website are listed here. However, for me to personalize my website, I want to make sure that I add assets that speak to my organization and that will allow me to engage with my constituents. So for that, we want to click tap or select on the media tab of the media library in this content module. Now, if you need for me to stop, I'm happy to stop to entertain any questions. Any questions in the chat? But when we are in this tab of the media library, we want to either view any related tags that have been added to existing media. We could narrow down our pool of content by the type. However, if I'm looking for an image and it's not here and I want to add it from my device, I could definitely click, tap, or select the Add Media Call to Action button here on the left-hand side, and it will provide me with these options. In order for us to add a document, we will point to our device and we will browse our folders. And when we browse our folders, we will then identify the item that we want to upload and do an upload. There's only one required field, and that is the name. Now, we do have the opportunity to leverage related tags to group like items. And if you wanted to add a revision log for internal communication, this revision log is not going to be visible to your end user ever. This is an internal note. So for instance, if I am collaborating with one of the agencies and they ask that I upload a file, I could say uploaded minutes and agendas for month of July on such and such date. And I could just say Cecilia Hemley as kind of like a reminder, excuse me, so that people know who added this file. And then at the bottom, I will hit save. If I click back into the structure, and I go back into the media library and I click, tap, or select on media, I am also able to insert images. I will click, tap, and select on the image option provided. And when I pull in the image, it will pull from my device. And here you will notice that I have the image displayed. There are two required fields. That is the only difference between your accessible PDF or your image, is that here you would need to provide an alternative text. Now, if you have met anybody at the Office of Information Technology, they're brilliant. They have some really good recommendations on how to generate very mindful alternative text. So again, if you need a little handle, I do believe that in the previous session, I provided the link to the Office of Information Technology's guidelines for accessible content. If not, I could put that on the, just give me a thumbs up or put it on the chat and I'll find it for you in a minute and I'll populate it here. But you want to make sure that you are providing an alternative text to your image, and they have a lot of guidelines. Another thing that you could do here is add that revision log. If it's an image that needs additional approval, you could do it here. So again, you can leverage this revision log as an internal communication tool. Okay, so again, this is how you upload an image. We talked about how to upload a document. I'm not gonna save this particular
nice like that
image
just for your virtual meetings.
Well, yeah, because everybody else just
because
online.
my apologies. I think I have some
Just wear the
feedback.
top and be naked. Like I do.
I'm just gonna, with your permission, mute y'all real quick. My apologies. Alrighty, thank you. Because this is a redundant image that I have on this website. But we are in the process of getting a new cache, a new set of images so that we don't have these redundancies and we could just, you know, I think we're gonna get those this evening so that next time we do the training, we don't have the repeated images. But that is how you would add an image to the media library. And now that your documents and your pictures are loaded, your creative process could just flow and you don't have to say, oh, wait, I forgot to add that image. Let me go back and find the image. Let me get some credits from iStock or from Adobe to buy. So my recommendation is that if you are limited in the amount of time that you have to execute the task at hand, let's front load those pieces by having the images and the files already in the media library. And I hope this is a little bit of advice that will make your experience smoother as you are creating content. So again, I tap, click, or select on the content module, which presents me with the media library. Within the media library, I click, tap, or select on the media sub-module or tab, and this is where the images will be. Now, a few things that I wanted to say when finding images, if you needed to do some versioning or some maintenance of the images that are posted already here. Each one of these is a node. And if you needed to change the images, you will need to either access the image and replace the picture here by removing it and adding a new one. And then you will need to then replace the alternative text because the alternative text for the new image might be totally different from what you had before. So I just wanted to put a word of caution. If you are having versioning, this asset is identified by a numerical value. So this creates a node, and that node could be referenced multiple times across your database, okay? But if you change your image, make sure you go in and you verify that the alternative text is valid for that new image that is coming. If this image needed to be changed, I could place a note here, changing image per initiative. Oh. My apologies, y'all. I've been sick for weeks now. I do apologize. That was very unprofessional. Allow me one moment. Thank you, Antoinette. It wasn't the technology, it was me. Allow me 1 second. Okay, I think I won't be cutting off anymore, Antoinette. My apologies. It wasn't the technology, it was me. But at any rate, if you are changing the image that is being displayed on that node, excuse me, please make sure that your alternative text carries with it. You could do the versioning of your document similarly, but those would not be impacted by alternative text. Excuse me. I appreciate your patience with me. Do we have any questions so far? This would give me a break to get a sip of water. Any questions or any feedback? Thank you so much, Sharon. And I do apologize. It's just that time in which I'm always sick, but let's just go ahead and make up time. Usually this is a quarter of the hour, and I do apologize. But make sure that when you are doing versioning for your different assets, that the alternative text matches your, so you don't want to get a hit or have a negative user experience for your BPH, blind, or physically handicapped constituents. So just make sure that when you swap out the picture, you're also addressing the alternative text. Alrighty. So I'm going to click, tap, or select onto the content module. And at this point, I am presented again with the media library. And now that I have my beautiful images that are speaking to my constituency, I want to go ahead and create a piece of content. I am wondering if I have a Tyler Technologies. Let me verify if somebody could assist me in presenting today. Hi, Duncan. Are you on the call today?
Yes.
This is a great opportunity for me to introduce Duncan LeBlond. Duncan, he's a project manager. Do you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. Duncan here. Another project manager. Some of you have met me. I focus on on Drupal and some of our other projects here at Tyler. Yeah, just tell me what you could use help with here, Cecilia.
That is brilliant. I really appreciate you. Could you walk us through the process of creating a basic page, please?
Yeah. Do you just want to guide the mouse as I do it here?
Yes, absolutely. So
All right.
in order for us, do you want for me to let me know when I can hand off?
Just let me know if you want what you want me to do, Cecilia. What are you feeling up to?
Oh my goodness. If I fall, catch me. Okay, so I'm
Okay,
gonna go
I
through
got
the
you.
process of a basic
I
page. So
got you.
be ready to share whenever
Yeah,
I
I'll
run
jump
out of
in.
gas.
Perfect.
Okay, so we have a backup in the event that I totally fall out of my chair. So when we click tap or select on the content module, we are presented with the media library, and our default tab is going to be content. At this point, we have already uploaded our images and our documents, and we are ready to work. What we want to do is, for a new piece of content, we want to click tap or select on the add content blue call of action button. And from here, you will be presented with a list of options. The options are listed in alphabetical order. And
So there are multiple options here, everyone. They're in alphabetical order, as Cecilia said. As you can see at the top here, you have alert, article, basic page, contact, event, jumbo slides, landing page, layouts, locality, and news feeds in order here. What we're selecting for the purpose today is basic page, which is the most utilized piece of content. If for some of you who are more familiar with Drupal, I'm sure you have seen this before, but this is what most pages are going to be, and it is the most popular piece of content on websites here. So she has just clicked into the basic page content type here, and it has opened the editing interface that we call the CK editor here. Which is this basic document editor type screen you can see below. There, are you good to go, Cecilia, or do you want me to keep going?
I think we have done this so many times together that you're just reading my mind. But yes, the only required field that we have for a basic page is the title. And as Duncan mentioned, you can start to edit your content directly into the body of your page. This is empowered by the CK Editor 5. Okay, so if you needed to do any styling of the copy that you're going to bring over, feel free to do it right here. So here, let us just say, we're just going to be funny, and we're going to call this health to see if I can get over these allergies, right? So our page title is going to be health. And I just want for you to notice that this is an asset. This is a node that is being added to our database. So right now, there is no node assigned to it. It is node forward add forward page. And this is the first thing that I shared with Duncan when he started here about 6 months ago, is the whole concept of nodes, right? So health is going to be my node, my alias. However, when I save, the only required field here is health. And you will notice that as I select the moderation state to be draft or publish, in a minute, you would notice that it's going to be /health. Now, if I go into the edit, I will see the numerical value that has been assigned to my node. And this is very important when we come to talk about redirects and aliases. The system by default would generate an alias. However, if you want to have control over what that URL alias looks like, we invite you to deselect this here. Do you want to take over, Duncan?
Sure thing. So right now we are in the basic interface here for editing. So as you can see in the CK editor here, you can put any content straight onto your page. There are multiple, here she's typing some in right now. So there are multiple, you can add text here, as you see, you can add images, you can add basically anything straight into this interface here. For a more structured look at the interface and creating a more structured page here, as you can see next to the basic page sub-tab above the editor here, there's a rows and cards tab next to it on the right. So if Cecilia clicks into this here, you can see we can start here by adding a row. If you want to click on that little arrow there, you can add rows. And so rows and cards are the basic structural elements of basic pages. So if we look here, that little drop down that Cecilia had previously selected, you can add cards in different variations. If you can click that again for me, Cecilia, not that one, the add row, there you go.
Totally.
So we've got 2 uneven columns, 3 uneven columns, accordions and the inflow slide. These are different ways to essentially put the rows in different orders across the basic page here. So if we look, I believe Cecilia added a card already above this. So you have card title here, which will automatically add a title for the card that will show up on the page. And then we've got a CK editor for the card body itself. This is similar to what we saw in the last sub-tab there, where we were putting content straight onto the page. This basically creates more of a structure to your page in different variations, as you saw with those different column types. Cecilia, I don't know where you'd usually like to go from here, but I will let you take back over.
Thank you. And again, cheers to Duncan for saving me. I see a raised hand. Ryan.
Yes. Yes, that would be me. So I have a couple questions. First one, with the basic page versus rows and cards, this is just, I guess, something I've been wondering about. If you have both, like kind of like what you have here, would both pieces of content still show? And also subsequently, like what order would they show? And would it be basic page and then all of the rows and cards content right afterwards?
Yes, that is correct. And I try not to use the library shelf, but I'm a librarian after 20 years. The best way that I have, Ryan, to explain this is that the alignment of your rows and cards, as they show displayed here, are going to be in a vertical alignment. So you're building in a vertical alignment, but they will read left to right as you are reading on a page. Okay. So the first thing that you have here where it says any content, let me add a different image so that I could have something here to display. This is the body, and the body is the first thing that will display. So if you look at here, left to right, the first thing that will display in that vertical, right, alignment on your mobile, on your laptop, even on tablet, right, is going to be that vertical alignment. So if you add something to the body, that's going to be the first section. The secondary section is whatever you do with rows and cards. If you have a use case in which you wanted to attach a web form to that particular page, you will then have body, rows and cards, and then the web form underneath, right? However, there are other ways in which you could take that web form and force it to be in a different orientation if you put it onto a card. So that is a wonderful question. Let me add an image here so that you can see what it will look like real quick. I'm so sorry. So I'm pointing, so here, and again, Duncan, you are a saver. So thank you so much. I'm going to click here underneath this little display, little piece of content that reads image, and I'm going to insert one of those assets that we added to the media library, right? So there are two different icons. With your permission, I'm going to make this a little bit larger because this came in one of our recent updates for Drupal. This one that has the insert media is pulling from your media library. These are the assets that we have entered earlier. We put a beautiful, mindful alternative text. If I click on this, it's going to open that dialog and allow me to select the image. Okay?
Awesome.
Now I'm going to go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I had a second question pertaining to the images within rows and cards, like adding an image card instead of adding, like a basic card and adding an image into that. Somebody on my team found that those image cards show up as H2s within like the back end. So I didn't know if that was something that was known or anything like that, or if there's, I also guess, a workaround too. We've been planning on just moving forward with basic cards instead of image cards, and then kind of formatting it within the basic card itself. But yeah, to my knowledge, he said that it shows up as an H2 when it's added as like an image card, which can mess up those heading levels for accessibility purposes.
Totally. The image card is one of those that is kind of baggage from our previous experience with organic groups. What we are hoping that you would leverage is the media card. When you select I'm just going to add a title so that we know that this is what we are looking at. So I'm just going to say that this is a media card on an equal row. So I'm selecting a secondary row, which is a paragraph. And when we are loading these up, Ryan, it's like that shelf on the library, and you have different types of different books that you could load. Those will be the different options that you have available for cards, right? Image is one that we're wanting to go into disuse. Every time we train, we talk about the media library and the media card because it will map it correctly.
Okay.
But because we have sites that are still using images, we're hoping that we can not use those anymore, that we're using media cards for assets in the media library. And just like you have different types of books like romances, I don't know, sewing machines, everything that a library can lend right now, that's the equivalent of those cards or blocks when you're looking at layouts, right? So
Mhm.
when we are adding a row, you could determine the distribution if you want it to be too equal, to uneven, whatever the distribution of those rows will go, then we will have the body, the row with its cards. Those cards are then going to float vertically if you're using a mobile device. Then you will have the web form if you are leveraging it in the page itself. And that will map with the headings. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure after this that I ask our QA BA team to test the headers on that image card so that we can write up a card for our developers to look at it, so that we are in compliance with WCAG 2.1 AA. Super important for us, Ryan. So no feedback goes unheard. Nothing goes into a black box. And I have Duncan also. Duncan, do you mind making a note so I do not forget?
I
Maybe.
was just going to write one up right now.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. And after this call, we could test it to make sure that it is an H2 and not an H3.
Okay.
Okay. But what happens, Ryan, is that when you are creating this new row, you could find by clicking down here the media card, not the image card. Just click on the media card, and this will pull from the media library. So let us just pretend this is our governor's image from the website. You want to tell the system to use that particular image, and you want to scroll to the bottom, and then you want to publish.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Well,
let's. Mhm.
oh, go ahead. I
We're
was
gonna
just gonna say I
inspect.
appreciate your help.
No, totally. I usually don't sound crazy like this, but we're gonna inspect. So I'm gonna place, this is media card, and this one might need to be mitigated because this is a row card and it's showing H1 when it should be an H2. The H1 should be for here, for health, which is my title. So the title is supposed to be let me get my element picker. This is supposed to be an H1, which it shows. That's the title. If I scroll down with my element picker, my title for my row should read an H2. Whoops. H2. So we're going to write this up. And Duncan, I'll send this to you, Duncan, after the fact so that I can send this over to our amazing Drupal team. But thank you, Ryan. Again, I don't know that we have had a training session together, Ryan, or which entity you are associated with, but if you have the need for us to have a one-on-one, I'm more than happy to do that. And my team, Duncan and the rest of them, we could just definitely meet with you to address any of these questions, okay?
Okay, cool.
But
yeah, thank you very much.
no, totally. This is a good opportunity for us to talk into further deep into rows and cards. So now that we have this extremely random type of page, we have the title being health. The body is this right here. When we jumped into rows and cards, we had this right here, which is an H3 for the card title. That is the card body. Then we have a row with a media card, and the media card is going to, different than when you are leveraging it into a basic page, Ryan, it's just going to take the entire width of your row. If you add a secondary card, then it's going to continue to shrink, and it is responsive. There is a correlation between the number of cards that you have on a row and the size of the images. So again, if you're wanting for this image to take the entire width from boundary to boundary of your display, make sure that you play with where you're placing the copy above and underneath. And if you are accompanying that media card with additional cards that might have context to the image or whatever the case might be. For that, I have an example. So if you will allow me one moment, I'm going to click on demo.colorado.gov. Here you will know that here you will see that we have a presentation in which we have a basic card with a button, and then we have just a pop of color. It's a decorative, a decorative element. So this right here doesn't have any, it doesn't add any context. It's just a decorative element, but it's coming from the media library. As we scroll down, we have another presentation of this. And we have other cards like these icon cards. And we have the ability to embed different iframes. This one comes straight from Facebook for developers. And we have some other aggregate type of content like recent articles and events. So if you and your team are in need of a deeper dive, I am more than happy to entertain that. But here we have added 2 different rows and the body. When we go in the back end, it will look like so. This is the body. These are your rows and your cards. You have 1 equal column with 1 card. That's what that little gray indicates. And you have 1 row with 1 card here. If you need to expand off, somebody pointed out that I had not touched on this in 4.5 years, but if you click on expand all, it will allow you to see all of the content and you don't have to go row by row, row by row. So if you wanted to expand everything, you could do it that way. If you wanted to collapse all of your rows, you can also do that. Another thing, Ryan, I'm not sure if you have seen, but you could move the order of the rows so that the one with the media card is on top. It will give you the orange indication that there is something that hasn't been saved. And then you could go to the bottom of the page and save. Let us say that I needed to place this back into a draft moderation state. It will allow me to do so. When your content is in any other status other than publish, it will have a pink background. That is your visual indicator that your content is not published. And this is where we are. One thing that I wanted to point out very quickly is that the CK Editor 5 does have some changes that came regarding tables. So if you wanted to add a table, you now have the ability to do cell edits and full table edits. If I wanted to do a table edit and apply a background color, you will then see the application of those banded rows here. Again, this is narrow because it doesn't have any content populated on it. But again, these are the different features that are coming with CK Editor. And as we continue to release different upgrades to the platform, we will continue to communicate these issues to you guys. When you are adding an item from your device, you will like to use this one here. And the labeling, thank goodness, came over. In the beginning, we didn't have a distinction into which one is from the media library and which one is from your personal device or the device that you're working on, right? So this little one with the arrow indicates that you're pulling images from the computer that you're working on, from your device. At this point, you would have the ability to add the alternative text right here. If this does not need an alternative text because you're designating this as a decorative element, you could just toggle here for me and hit the check mark, and now your image is in there as a decorative item. A few things about redirects that we wanted to cover because these questions come a ton is that when you are redirecting content within the media that you have on the website, we prefer that you establish first the link between one node to another. However, when you make any changes to the nodes, you want to then go back and make sure that all of your aliases are pointing to the new destination. There isn't a right or a wrong way of doing this. It's just based on your use case. If I were to change the title of this page to anything else, this /help will return page not found. And the reason it will return page not found is because that particular alias will no longer be associated with the node 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So when we are mitigating pages for accessibility or unification projects that have come from many of our amazing partners that are unifying websites back into a larger website, my recommendation is that first we make sure that the destination, either relative to the website or absolute, is established first. And then if we do not want our constituency to have a page not found and we want for them to have a warm handoff, we could then visit the alias and make sure that we establish a redirect from the URL alias to the new node or to the absolute path. Because I know that we're mitigating a lot of content in the context of accessibility, and we don't want our partners, our end users, our constituents to get a page not found. So if you have any questions as to how you want to execute this, we're more than happy to do so. If you have a spreadsheet that you want to send over and we can kind of look over and kind of figure out what's the best path forward for you, we're happy to entertain that as well. So right now I see that it's 1:45, and on our agenda, we wanted to see how to do a layout. I think layout is the same as rows and cards, with the exception that it goes straight into rows and cards and there is not a body. I would like for us to jump into the layout content type, but before I do that, I did want to pause and see if there are any questions. Oh, Ryan, do you have any questions in the chat? Any feedback?
I am not seeing any. Looks pretty good in the chat right now.
Oh, my goodness. Well, is there anyone that has any questions before we jump into layouts? Anything that you would like us to demo? Alrighty, that's a pregnant pause. But if you change your mind, just stop me. Again, I appreciate your patience with my little bout of sneezing and coughing earlier. If we wanted to create a new content type, again, we're going to click, tap, or select into the content module. And from there, we're going to be presented with the media library. I'm going to click, tap, or select on this add content call to action button. And here, instead of just doing the basic page or any other content, we want to do a layout. Layout is a new content type to us here at Tyler, Colorado. It is not new to Drupal. We introduced it with the migration, with the upgrade from Drupal 9 to Drupal 10. And it is something that now that the accessibility project is at a service maintenance level, we're going to focus all of our efforts. So all of the feedback that we have gotten from the community of users is going to be, we're just going to be heads down, making sure that layouts are usable and that your experience is one that you feel empowered, not frustrated. So we talked about rows and cards being contained in a paragraph. When you look at the layout content type, it will feel familiar. The one huge difference is that it's no longer contained in a paragraph. Sections allow you the flexibility to move content from one to another one. Whereas in the rows and cards experience, we were restricted by that universe of the paragraph. And I wanted to say that before because I think if I tell you before I show you, it might be a little bit better or not. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go and grab some lorem ipsum. We're going to go back into this layout and we're going to copy and paste it there. Now you're seeing me copy and paste, but the one thing that we say all the time is paste without format. And there are many ways that you could do so. You could do a right click on your mouse and paste without format, or you could do hotkeys. Carrie's amazing. She was on the call a few weeks back and she was showing the rest of the team how we do things. But if you know your hotkeys, you could do a paste without format hotkey. And for that, I have some cheat sheets and some tools that I'm going to share with you in a moment. But all you want to do is just give it a title. And I'm going to say T is going to be my title, because that's what I'm going to get right after this call, some more T. So let's call T is the title. I have an orphan little space, which I do not like. So I'm going to leave no characters after the title. It's T-E-A-T. And then here we have the same presentation. Your editor will still be the CK Editor 5. So these are those similarities. The rows and cards contained in paragraphs are powered by the CK Editor. That experience is the same for your sections and blocks in the layout content type. And layout content type is one of many that we're going to continue to develop and make available to the entire community of users. But again, CK Editor here, if you wanted to generate a link, you could just decide what your anchor text is going to be, and you're going to highlight the text. And then at this moment, you want to select the link it feature. Now, there are different types of links that you can generate. When we added all of those portable document files that are accessible, we added those into the media library so that we could reference them across our website in different ways. The simplest of all is by leveraging the anchor text. So I'm going to highlight my anchor text and I'm going to start to type the name of the asset that has been added to the media library. For this example, we're going to start to type lorem ipsum, and we have two options. When we added the asset, we added the different, whatever version of it was. Now, you would notice that for this example, I have 3 different versions of this file, and then I have a media asset. We have 2 options. We can either point the customer to view the file as it sits on the server, or we could point the user to view the node that contains the file. In the first presentation, when we're linking to the file, that is a connection directly to the file as it is. It doesn't allow me to have different versions of the file. And if I need to edit, I will need to edit wherever this file is present. By implementing the link itself to the node, if I have a document that is frequently going to be edited, they will be presented with the node and they can access whatever version of the file is within the node. So when I am going to do first is I'm going to give you the example of the node. And then I'm going to give you the example for the file so that you can see how this presents. So here we're going to say lorem, and lorem is going to take me to the media node. If I wanted to apply any type of area label, I could do so. And if I wanted for this to open in a new environment, I could toggle here. Just make sure that you save. My second example is going to be a link to the file. And I'm going to select my anchor text. I'm going to select the link it feature. And let us say that the version of this file that I want to present to my end users is the lorem ipsum B as in Bravo. You will notice that this is pointing to site CMS files. This is a different path altogether because it is not looking for the asset in the media library. It is looking for the actual file as it sits on the server. So I am going to click OK. And I'm going to click OK again. And then if I wanted to execute a link to something external, I could highlight this. And let's have it point to here so you guys can see it. I could highlight my anchor text. I could click on the link feature and I could just paste. And then I'm going to select this here and I'm going to save it. This particular content types, the default moderation state is published. So if you guys are still getting approval for what the copy looks like, my ask is that you deselect this published box here so that you can continue to iterate on your page and then your constituents will not know the difference. So if this is not ready for prime time, let's please deselect it. You will still get your pink background, so you will have your visual indicator that your content is not published. Let's have a look at this together. There's 2 things that I wanted to point out. Number 1, this node has not been assigned So it has add, layout page, and the only required field is going to be title. If you do not want to leverage this, you can then deselect this and populate whatever you would like this URL to be. Again, URL alias are kind of like window dressings. The numerical value is what is always true. So when you are executing those redirects, make sure that the redirect connection is first implemented and then address the remaining aliases that are lingering out there. We're going to go to the bottom and we're going to save. And now that we save the content, even if it is in a draft moderation state, you will have the ability to leverage the layouts with the sections and the blocks. Your visual indicator is that your fourth section here on this ribbon is now present. When we were editing before, it only gave you the first portion, that body. If I scroll down, I will have the ability to review all of these different links. This is the one that we selected to open in a new environment, correct? This is going to open in a new tab. If you look at the URL, this is pointing to the media node, which allows the versioning. This is version B as in Bravo. It opened in another window, so I'm going to click over here on T. This is a link to the file. I didn't ask it to open in a new window, so it's going to give me a back button in my browser, but this is a different experience. This is not pointing to a node. This is pointing to a file on a server. Now, again, because this is not opening in a new environment, I have to use the back button in my browser to go back. The third one here is a link. It's an absolute link, including the protocol and the domains. So when I click here, it's going to open up in this same environment because it's not opening in another window and it's presenting the URL that we selected. Now, because I didn't indicate to open in a new tab, I'm going to go back to the website as it was. And now you notice that I have still this layout. Now, we're going to add a section, but the first section is going to be what is in the body that we just generated together. The second section and the third, you can add 4. There is no limit to the number of sections that you can add, but just know that the first section is going to be the body. This is different from rows and cards, in which if you wanted to make edits to the body, you had to tab back into body. You can execute edits right here. Now, if we're going to add a section, we're going to click, tap, or select here. This presentation is similar to when we were asking for the different types of distribution, right? So when we did, Duncan was mentioning that we selected an equal row or a 2 row. It is the same experience, but instead of fractions, it's going to be percentages. If I am looking for a 2 column experience, instead of saying 1/2 and 1/2, it's just going to present as 50%, 50%. Here, I can add a label. Let's call this section title. And then if I want for this to be visible to my end user, I'm going to select this right here, and I'm going to apply different styles. Now, here, the headings are decoupled. They're not mandatory, where we are still mitigating those. So we know that the title of the page will hold an H1. At this point, I want to wrap that label in an H2, okay? And if I wanted to change the position, I could do so. Let's just try center for the example. And let's go ahead and add the section. Now that I have added the section, you will notice that I have these 2 blocks because I indicated to the system to provide me with a 50/50 display of 2 columns. If I wanted to add an additional section for it to be 3, then I could play with those distributions. This one, I'm not going to add a label just so that you can see how it presents itself, but I'm going to go ahead and save it. I think my internet is lagging. Okay, my internet is lagging. Yes, let me switch over to here and resume it on this other website of ours. We're going to create a piece of content that is a layout. And we're just going to go ahead and save it. And you will notice that here we have the layout. And we will start to build the sections here. If I wanted to add a section, again, this is just picking up from where we left. Two columns, and I'm just going to wrap this in an H2 for the example, and I'm going to hit save. Then I have the opportunity to add a block, and the blocks are listed here. And in the event, Ryan, to follow up on your example, if we wanted to include an image that has already been added to the media library, you could then leverage image or media. From here, the title is mandatory, but you do not have to display it. So in this particular case, I'm going to give this block a title, but I'm not going to display it. And when I, excuse me, when I add this, I could just decide to have a color in the background, whatever it is that you would like to do to further style this. I'm just going to add the color for the example, but I would not normally add a color behind an image just for accessibility. But again, we can add, we can insert the image. And then we could go ahead and save the block. When I scroll to the bottom here, you will see that the block is in here. One thing that I did want to point out is that different from rows and cards, these are not contained in the paragraph. I could take this element and move it to the top and so forth. I could continue to look at these 4 directional arrows and just continue to move content up and down and add as needed. Here I have a single one, so if I get instructions not to place it on the first section, I could just take that same image and drop it into the 3rd section here. If I wanted to configure the title so that the title is now visible, I could just say visible title, and then I could wrap this into an H2 to make sure that it is accessible, and there is my title. If I needed to add a block, I have the ability to add a media block or any other type of block. Simple map is the last one that we will cover for today. And I know that you guys have been extremely quiet, but do let me know if you have any additional questions. And this would be what a map block would look like. My one recommendation is that you always, always, always save your work. And then if you continue to iterate, that you leverage this revisions log. I know that we are at time. 2 things I wanted to mention is thank you so much for your patience with my technical issues and with my allergies. Is there anything that I can answer for the team? Otherwise, we will have this on the website by close of business today so that you can revisit the content. Anything from leadership?
Nothing for me. Thank you, Cecilia.
No, thank you so much. And again, thank you, Brian and Duncan, for your support today. Francie, Paula, Edward, anybody from the audience, any questions, Ryan?
Nope, no questions over here. Thank you.
Awesome. Trey, anything from you?
Nope, nothing for me, Cecilia.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for your patience with me. Hi, Paula. Hi, Francie. And that's Sarah there. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to partner support at www.colorado.gov. What you got, Paula?
That was an accident. Sorry. Thanks, everyone.
Anytime, friend. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.